my book, Paul Murphy's Extremely Unlikely History of the United Kingdom. And I shall now be reading excerpts from it without the aid of a safety net, but using a mouth. Stuart era, 1603-1714. While Elizabeth died in March 1603, James the Sixth of Scotland became King of England and Ireland, in a remarkably smooth transition of power, especially since Elizabeth had had his mother beheaded. Well, she always did suffer so terribly from migraines. It was a kindness, really, he is never known to have said. He thus became James I and James IV at the same time, and this caused immediate conflict, as supporters of James IV declared war on James I and vice versa. This bitter war lasted for several moments, and only ended when James agreed to abdicate in favour of himself. After 1603, James only visited Scotland once, in 1617, to turn the gas off. One of James's great contributions to England was the authorised King James Version of the Bible, begun in 1604 and completed in 1611, and also the somewhat less well-known authorised King James Version of Debbie Does Dallas, begun in 1611 and still being worked on at his death. I think it said worked, the writing's a bit shaky. The masterpiece was never completed as penciller Fred Dirty Mackintosh died without issue. I think it said without issue, the writing's a bit shaky. Might have said with a tissue. I'm not sure it said masterpiece either. Bonfire Night. On the night of the 4th and 5th of November 1605, Guido Fawkes attempted to blow up the Houses of Parliament by eating 486 vindaloo curries and setting light to his farts, shouting, "Lord above!" Oh, sorry. His plot was discovered by a watchman who gave the alert, shouting, "Lord above, what's that stink?" Fawkes was tortured until he confessed, and just to be sure, afterwards as well. He was sentenced to be hung, drawn and quartered, but no one would go near him until he finished flatulencing. It is a word if I say it's a word. He died on his way to his funeral, as indeed most people do. Not many die on the way back from it. When he fell off the scaffolding following particularly strong postern blasts, which also took the hats off the front 10 rows, he is burnt in effigy every year. Effigy is a small town in Wales. Asterisk, no it isn't. Okay, so that's a little clip there from my book, Paul Murphy's Extremely Unlikely History of the United Kingdom. There's lots of these little clips on YouTube that I'm putting up, and also that's what the book likes. If you wanted to zip over to Amazon and buy a copy, I'd be very grateful. More importantly, my children would be very grateful because they get all the royalties, not me. That's the end of this clip. Thank you for your patience.